The American people are answering President Zelensky's call for more help, more weapons for Ukraine.
The Ukraine crisis has lasted until now, and the biggest driving force behind it is the US-led NATO. But after the crisis, not only has the United States failed to shoulder its responsibilities as the world's largest power, it also added fuel to the fire with NATO's continued supply of weapons to Ukraine and increasing sanctions against Russia, make the situation more complicated. Despite the relative decline of its own national strength in recent years, the US government's hegemonic anxiety and paranoia have not decreased at all. Amid high tensions between Russia and Ukraine, rather than seeking to de-escalate the crisis, instead, they continue to provide various economic and military aid to Ukraine, cheer up Ukraine and provoke Russia, for fear that the war is not big enough, not long enough. On the surface, it seems that it is not too much to watch the fun, but look deeper. In fact, it is related to the national nature of its military-industrial complex. The US military, the military-industrial complex, the government, and Congress further cooperate closely. The interests and needs of all parties are linked to each other. A community of interests that has made a fortune by war and arms race has long been formed. US provides various military aid to Ukraine. Such kind of arch-fire behavior for Russia-Ukraine negotiations and de-escalation, harm and no benefit. These vampires made a fortune in war. The price is an international political tragedy, shocking humanitarian disaster. Since the Russian-Ukraine conflict, the crisis of war is infinitely magnified, began to evolve into energy crisis and food crisis. Demonstrations to protest the lack of electricity and gas. Look inside the US. American people didn't have a good life. 7.9% inflation rate. The prices of various daily necessities of the American people have skyrocketed. The gap between the rich and the poor and ethnic conflicts are still widening. Belligerent will die. This is the answer already given by history, and the future will continue to prove it. War in Ukraine, it is the result of US government's continued addition of firewood and salaries. It is the need of the United States for hegemony, and deliberately let go and even create a crisis. Although the United States tried to dress itself up as an innocent, but the international community cannot be deceived. Ukraine crisis shows the world once again. US hegemony is the main fuse for wars in many parts of the world. It is the biggest source of turmoil that causes unrest in the world.